Hey everybody, welcome to the show today. You are tuned in to US Home Talk. We are live every Wednesday at 12 noon Central Time. We are talking about real estate, mortgages. We talk credit repair. We talk kind of about anything and everything that you want to talk about dealing with buying a home, selling a home, drinking coffee out of the Walgrave mug there, I see.
It's actually water.
It's actually water, but we'll talk about that too if you want to.
Water. Scotch.
We try to make this an interactive show. Yeah.
I love Scotch.
Where's Ron Burgundy? Is he joining us today? We try to make this interactive here, so you can catch us obviously on any podcast service that you have there. You can catch us live. You can go to Facebook and find us on Facebook and watch a live feed there. And you can interact with us on Facebook as well. So if you go to the live feed on Facebook, you look for US Home Talk. You can submit questions, comments, stuff like that during the show here, and we'll answer them live on air. As far as hosts go today, no stranger to the show, we have Jason Walgrave,
Hello.
Walgrave Real Estate Group, Remax Advantage Plus, and we have Marcus Walgrave, Hegg Realtors, South Dakota Home Team. And then we have myself, Mortgage Mike, as you can see there, Luminate Bank. We are now Luminate Bank, not Luminate Home Loans anymore. We're actually Luminate Bank. And that name change just happened this last weekend. Yeah.
Hey, congrats. Rebranding or what's, can you share the details on the change?
Yes. So basically our mortgage division, so Luminate Home Loans and Luminate Bank were technically two separate entities. Now we're one entity. So what does that do for us? Basically, it gives us some back end stuff as far as instead of being licensed in 43 states, now I'm licensed in 49 states because we're underneath the bank platform now. We're going to have access to, we have second mortgages. We have fixed rate second mortgages that I personally can do now versus sending them to someone at our bank because we're all one entity now. I'll have home equity lines of credit that I can do starting on March 1st. I'll be able to do construction loans in-house myself, things like that. So all the same, services and programs that we offered are still around. I just myself am able to do more than myself versus referring them, to the bank for those bank type products. So
basically what that means is anything and everything mortgage related, Mike can now handle it. So, and it's, it's exciting.
Mike directly can handle it.
Directly can handle it.
Yeah, directly. Because you were been able to do that in the past. It just maybe just had to hand it off to a colleague.
Exactly. Yeah. Someone would come and say, hey, I want to, put a second mortgage on my house so we can do a bunch of remodeling or some renovations or something. I'd be like, great, I'll get you in touch with Mindy over at our bank and Mindy can help you out with that. Now I can actually help that customer directly, and take the application and do that stuff.
You are Mindy now.
I'm Mindy. Mike and Mindy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there how do you combine those? How do you combine those? Is
Mikey?
Yeah. Something like that, maybe. We'll have to come up with that. Those celebrity names, that you combine the two, you know what I mean? I'll come up with something. We'll have to come up with something clever with that. Today's topic, though, what we're going to do is we just made a list of questions, basically, that has come in from our listeners over the last couple of weeks here that we haven't been able to hit live on our show. And so we're just going to go through those questions. A lot of it pertains to, our current market right now. A lot of buyer questions, some seller questions, some loan questions. So we're going to just dive into that list here and cover those here. If you want to interact with us, again, you can go find us on Facebook, and then there's a live feed there. So you can type in your comments and questions right on that live feed, or you can call or text your questions to us during the show here. That number is 612-234-7585. Again, 612-234-7585. And that's actually our real estate hotline number that's open and available 24/7. So again, 612-234-7585. All right, let's go to question number one here. One of the questions that came in was, how much money will I have to come up with to buy a home? Great question, right? That answer is going to be different for everyone. So in general, and I'll let you guys comment a little bit here too. So there's some down payment assistance programs. If you qualify for a down payment assistance program, if you want to go that route, there's good and bad, right? There's positives and negatives to every single program that's out there. If I look at the Minnesota state stuff specifically, the great thing is about that program is you only need $1,000 out of your own pocket into the deal, and then the state down payment assistance can cover the rest. So that answer of how much money will I need to come up with to buy a home for those individuals using that program, you might only need $1,000 out of your own pocket and you're good to go. One of the negative things about that program, and this is just the way the state of Minnesota runs it, is that they actually set their own interest rates on that program. Those interest rates are higher than what you can get out there in the open market, if you will. So if you have your own down payment, you're going to get a lower interest rate. But if you want to utilize this program, and get the down payment assistance, so you only need $1,000 out of your own pocket, then it's a great program to go with, and it's a very low barrier of entry.
Yeah, I think there's still a pretty big misconception by a lot of buyers out there that you need 20% down to buy a house, and generally, for most that is not the case. And then I think there's also this idea that I gotta save up some more money before I can buy a house. I need some more down payment money. We've got a property coming on the market next week. It's a really nice condo, and there's renters in there right now. So I went over to take a look at it, met the renters. Of course, I was like, hey, you guys, thought about maybe buying a house, and I didn't have an opportunity to go deeper in the discussion, but her response was, oh, we're going to wait a year or two and save up another 10 grand for down payment. And, and they're probably a $400,000 buyer, right? And so, just looking at appreciation at 5%, well, that's going to cost them $20,000 a year per year. So they want to spend a couple years saving up another 10 grand, appreciation. If it goes like it's been going, that means that property is going to cost them another $40,000 in 2 years. So they're going to save 10, but it's going to cost them another 40, and so I think it's so important if you're a buyer to really look at the numbers. What do I need to buy a house? Do I qualify for down payment assistance? Do I qualify for a VA loan? Do I qualify for a USDA loan? What does it exactly mean? And then if you have this idea, I need to save up more money for down payment. Well, what does that mean if you wait for a year, right? An extra 10 grand or $10,000 towards your mortgage, or having a $10,000 less mortgage is, you're talking what, $70 a month? Approximately,
yep.
So you're going to save $70 a month, but it's going to cost you another $40,000 for the same property if you wait the 2 years. So, look at the numbers, really look at the numbers, and what does it mean per month? What is it, what do you actually need for down payment? Most of our buyers are putting minimum down. Even if they got the 20% down, they're putting minimum down. They're taking that additional cash and they're putting it into a savings account, something liquid, so they're not spending it or they're keeping that money. They're getting into the property, and I think that's a really good strategy.
Yeah, one of the things that comes to mind here with that is each person's situation is different, right? Jason mentioned if you qualify for a VA loan. Well, the great thing about a VA loan is it's zero down, right? Now, even though it's a zero down loan program, you still have closing costs that need to get paid for. So in some cases, can you negotiate to have the seller pay your closing costs? In some cases, yes. Now, as we get into the spring market more up here, in the upper Midwest where we're located, it gets tougher and tougher to get the seller to pitch in and pay some of your closing costs, just because it's the busiest time of real estate, busiest time of the year in real estate up here. And you have more buyers that you're going to be competing against. So if you're making an offer on a house and there's 5, 6, 7 other offers on the table, unlikely you're going to get your offer accepted if you made an offer to say, hey, seller, we'll buy your house for this list price, but we want you to pay our closing costs.
Yeah.
So it can get a little bit tougher there. But there's certainly options, affordable options out there where you can have very little out of pocket into there and still buy a home. And so it's one of those things, you just got to get an application filled out and dig into it and get the true answers there.
Yeah.
Question number 2 here. How do I know if I can get a loan? Marcus, how do I know if I can get a loan?
Well, first step I would do is reach out to somebody like Mortgage Mindy and see if Mike Overson can help out over at Luminate Bank. Starting that conversation, the Midwest friendly, right? I think gets in the way too often when it comes to real estate transactions. I have conversations with clients that I've worked with for going on 10 plus years. And they're wanting to put their house on the market here this spring to sell it. They're looking to downsize, and haven't had the conversation with the banker that they worked with 10 years ago. And it's kind of like, well, I don't want to bother him, or I don't want to bother her. And it's like, that idea, that mentality just needs to go out the window. More people like Mike Overson, this is what they do day in and day out. They're not just working with people who are looking to close on a loan in 60 days or 90 days. They're in this as a full-time career. We'll be doing this for many years. And Mike, how often do you have somebody that reaches out in 2025 that buys in 26 or 27? Like it happens. It happens often, and you shouldn't be concerned about that. If you're not going to be buying until next year or the year after, you want to have the conversation. You want to start getting the information. That's the only way you're going to be able to make smart decisions in real estate.
I mean, the best way to know whether or not you qualify for a mortgage is really buy a Magic 8-Ball. And shake that bad boy up. There's some online mortgage companies that I quite certain that's their strategy on how they approve people, but face to face,
will they qualify for a loan?
Maybe. Yep, you do.
Yep. Love it. Yeah, the Magic 8-Ball is actually going to bring that up there. That's how I figure it out. Just ask the Magic 8-Ball, it'll tell you.
But they're easy. If you're serious and you want to reach out to somebody that you work with, you can go ahead and hop online and fill out an application. It can take Mike, 5-10 minutes to get the ball rolling. And if some situations where you did find yourself behind the 8-ball, maybe you went and looked at some open houses over the weekend, fell in love with one, and now it's Monday morning. There's a good chance that if you align yourself with again somebody that knows what they're doing, like Mike, you can get those pre-qual letters fast. So I mean, it's pretty tech savvy in today's world to qualify for a home loan.
Yeah, it is pretty quick and easy. Most of the stuff's done online. I always tell people, look, it's 10 to 15 minutes to fill out an application per person. So if it's a married couple, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how fast you type. If you type like Jason, where you just use your fingers, just like this, it's probably going to be on the longer side. If you can type fairly quickly, it's probably going to be less than 10 minutes per person.
There's a term for that. It's a seek and destroy typing or something.
All right, question number 3 here. This is going to be for you agents here. When I find a home, how do I know how much I should offer?
That's a great question. One of the things that we do for our buyers is we do a market analysis. We'll run comps, take a look at the development first, take a look at the neighborhood second, and then, go out as far as we need to determine, is that home priced according to like properties that have sold. I mean, that's step one. If we're in multiple offers, there's a different strategy for that. How long the property's been in the market, the conversations that Marcus and I have with the listing agent, information that we can gather about sellers' motivation. And so a lot of different factors go into it. The biggest one is I think the two biggest ones is whether or not you're multiple offers, and 2, how long that property's been on the market. And each property is different. Each buyer's motivation is different. I've had buyers come in and say, look, I want this property. What do you think it's worth? And we give them a number. Okay, well, I'm going to offer 10% more because I don't really care what it's worth. I want that property. I'm going to be there for a long time. So, so important, folks, that you have an experienced and proven track record for an agent that knows how to get these offers accepted for you on your behalf and with the best terms possible.
Even you kind of look at a buyer, right? And even if you're an investor and you have bought properties, you look at how many transactions that Jason or I have done in the month compared to even like an investor. But if we just go to a normal buyer, on average, they're exchanging properties within 7 to 8 years. So this isn't something that you've maybe have done for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years, 20 years in some cases. So even the individuals investors who are buying annually, they're still working with great realtors because again, they know that a top real estate agent, they're doing a transaction weekly. And they're doing that much, so they're really on top of it. When you talk about submitting an offer and choosing a purchase price, if you're off 4 or 5%, that's a lot of money, right? That's a lot of money that you could be leaving on the table or overpaying for something. So there's a ton of value to make sure that you're working with somebody that knows what's going on.
Yeah, and I think what else is important, folks, is that I just read this stat last week. There's about 1 million licensed real estate agents in the United States. 74% of them, 74% of them did not sell a single home last year.
Didn't do a single transaction.
Not one.
Not even a one.
Not one. And so buyers, do the research. Make sure that you're aligning yourself with a top agent that has the experience to get you the best deal, and it's just it's really important.
So
Alfonso,
I think you guys must have more licensed real estate agents than licensed loan officers, I'm guessing then.
Well, how many licensed there's probably not 1 million loan officers.
I think there's less than I think in the country, I think there's less than 1 million licensed loan officers. So you guys actually have more licensed agents than loan officers out there.
Super awesome.
Yeah, right? Super awesome. But I think, to that point though, Mike, right? I mean, if you have your license and like 3/4 of the realtors didn't do a transaction last year, you can't really get away with that in the mortgage side, right? If you're a mortgage banker and you didn't do any deals last year, you probably aren't going to have a job by the end of the year. So right. I mean, there's it's definitely an interesting when you look at the real estate side of it, the realtor side of it, and right. making sure that you really align yourself and with the right people. And it seems like the top-notch realtors, they have aligned themselves with the top-notch mortgage bankers out there as well. So it ends up being a win-win, for you to work with the right people, because they're likely working with the right people as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, Marcus. I mean, it's a team effort, on the real estate side, on the mortgage side, title, the concierge services that we offer, meaning, all things related to your home. You need a contractor, you need a lawn and snow guide, you got an insurance person. I mean, Evan and Paragon do a phenomenal job. There's so many pieces to a successful real estate transaction. It's not one person that gets it done, folks. I mean, it is a team working on your behalf: real estate, mortgage, title, insurance, and many others. And so, and the consumer deserves that. They deserve to have the best in all those different areas, and make sure that your interests are really taken care of. And we really strive to provide that service.
Yeah, here's another value add of the right real estate agent, because the question that started this off was, when I find a home, how do I know how much I should offer? Here's kind of an extreme case, right? Real estate agent that I do a lot of business with, known him for forever. Had a buyer looking in the the 1.5 to 2.5 million price range. Okay, house came on the market at 2.4 million. And this is like a year and a half ago, roughly. Okay, came in at 2.4. Buyer's like, really like the house. Let's submit an offer. What should we offer? This particular real estate agent said, you should offer 1.4 because that's what it's worth.
Oh,
and the buyer's
and it was listed at what?
2.4.
Woo.
Right. So at 2.4, this agent
that'll
is saying,
get the deal done.
You should offer 1.4 because that's honestly, I ran the comps, I ran all the number. I know this neighbor, I know this area. This thing is a $1.4 million house. That's what you should offer. Okay. So they submitted an offer at 1.4. They didn't get it. Okay. House sat on the market. There was other offers on the table and stuff. Nothing got accepted. House sat on the market. It sold 11 months later for 1.35 million.
Whoa.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Impressive.
And so think if you're that buyer and you go in there right? And you offered, so 2.4 listing, let's say you go in there at 2.2. You're like, yeah, 2.2, couple $100,000 off, getting a good deal in this house. You would have been upside down $800,000 on that thing if you would have made that offer. So again, it's kind of an extreme case, right? That it's not, we're not talking about $800,000 misses, misfires on every day, but it's one of those situations where if you are that buyer on there, I mean, that was obviously some great advice on his part.
Yeah. Great advice. And so then the question you got to ask, if you're one of those 74 percenters from last year, are you really going to do that research? Or are you going to go in and say, oh, brand new on the market, we better go in full price, and you love the house, let's get it done? Does that happen? I don't know.
True.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's a good point, Jason. You look at, especially if you have somebody who is transaction focused, and they're like, okay, I know the clients love it. We're gonna do whatever we have to do to get on a contract, instead of giving the honest opinion, saying, I understand you love it, and even if you're willing to pay 1.8 for it, you're still $400,000 overpriced. It's just not a smart investment. If you want to move on it, so be it. It's your decision. But just letting I don't think that this is a good investment for you. Obviously they get to make their own decisions, but yeah, I think that's a pretty incredible story. But also, Mike, I think that's a good point to make. Pre-existing inventory is definitely different than new construction. They may have different type of activity going on, to where a pre-existing home at a $300,000 price versus a new construction at a $300,000 price. One seller might be negotiating better than the other seller, and to make sure that the difference between those two markets can save you a lot of money.
You guys have $300,000 new construction in your market?
Oh, we do. Some townhouses.
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, we actually have some townhouses. We have some townhouses. We also have some villas that are in what's that?
Mobile homes.
Yeah, we have mobile homes, but those are more affordable than 300. Okay. I'm trying to think here. Some of the mobile homes are fine. We have some mobile homes in 80,000.
Oh yeah,
in Sioux Falls. So. But no, there's single family homes, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, unfinished basements, 950,000 square feet on Main, right around that 300. So we do have some inventory that can get you in there, and the doors right around 3.25.
Nice. Moving along here. Let's see. Question. We got 2 questions left here. So next question that our listeners submitted here over the last couple of weeks was, how will I know which type of home loan is the best for me? Great question.
Magic 8 Ball.
Magic 8 Ball. That's always a great place to start, just to see what it says. Maybe ask Siri, see what she says.
Siri.
What's the Android version of Siri? Is there a
Google?
Android?
Hey Google.
Is it just Google?
It's Hey Google.
It doesn't have a cool name, like George or Jeeves or.
Microsoft was using Cortana.
Oh yeah.
But then Google went to Gemini, didn't it?
Is that what it is? Gemini
or something?
When I want to ask, I say, "Hey Google," and then it's either "Hey Siri" or "Hey Google." Well, I mean, not always, but it usually does.
Hey AOL.com. What loan type is the best for me? So, okay. So how will I know which loan type of home loan is the best for me? Comes down to your individual situation, right? Each loan program works a little differently. Each one has its own positives, its own negatives. Let's just take, for example, like conventional versus FHA. In general, if your credit score is 679 or lower, FHA is typically the better way to go, because your interest rate is going to be lower than a conventional loan, and your mortgage insurance cost is going to be lower as well. And then once you hit 680 and above, a lot of times that will switch over. Kind of 680 to 700 is kind of that middle ground of, there's some other factors that come into play. But really, if you hit 700 and above, typically you're going on the conventional side of things, because your interest rate will probably be pretty similar to each other at that point. But your mortgage insurance will actually be cheaper on that conventional loan than an FHA loan will. So, is there a way to tell which loan type is going to be the best for you without filling out an application with a lender who does all those types of loans and then can explain the positives and negatives to you. That's typically what I do. Is I'll put them side by side with my borrowers to say, okay, you qualify for FHA, you qualify for conventional. Here's the differences between the two. Here's what it looks like for you. And we just have a conversation of what's more important to you. Maybe the FHA loan, they have, maybe it's a lower down payment requirement to get in. And maybe their interest rate is lower, so their payment's better. But on the flip side, maybe they have a house in mind where there's already 6, 7 offers on the table. And now we got to have a conversation of, if you really like this house, we have to try to make a conventional loan offer, because a conventional loan offer is going to get looked at first by the sellers versus FHA. So if you want to compete against those other buyers, we kind of got to swing over to this conventional side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very specific to the individual.
Yep. Any other comments there from you guys?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Good job, Mike.
Okay. All right. So the last question here, and this is actually one that I added on here because I'm kind of curious to see what you guys think. Okay. And this is more of a poll question here, and Evan's going to have to get involved with this one too. Okay. In real estate, right? There's 4 main pieces. There's the real estate part of it with the real estate agent. There's the mortgage side of things with your loan officer. There is home insurance with people like Evan Little. And then there's the title company, right? So those are the big 4: real estate, mortgage, homeowners insurance, and title. Out of those 4, which one is the most boring?
Insurance. Insurance.
How dare you?
Unless you need it, then it becomes not boring.
I think it's title company.
I think it's got to be. I think title too.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, title's not very exciting.
Title issues are some of the most interesting legal questions that can come up.
Yes.
But they're so incredibly rare. You know what I mean? Like, out of how many transactions that you've dealt with, have there been substantive title issues, Jason?
I mean, 1 in 200 maybe.
Yeah, like once or twice a year.
Yeah,
maybe?
I mean it's and I can't think of any that we weren't able to resolve the title issue that came up.
Right, exactly. Really interesting ones are like a once every decade kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the title company is the most misunderstood and most boring out of those. But I'll take runner up. Insurance is definitely also very important.
I think insurance for sure. I think title. I agree with you. I think title's the most boring. I think insurance is next. So I put myself in the buyer hat. I'm buying a house, right?
Yeah.
Okay. During that entire transaction, who am I calling the most? Probably the real estate agent, right? You're probably calling the real estate agent, right? You're going on showings, you're looking at houses, like that's the fun part. It's like, hey, we got this offer going in. What should we offer? You know, this and that, blah, blah, blah. The next person you're probably calling during that transaction, the next most would probably be your loan officer, because you got all this loan stuff. We need paperwork. We need this and that. Let's go through numbers. What are interest rates doing? You know, that type of stuff. Insurance, you got to get insurance if you're going to get a loan out there. So you have to talk to your insurance agent to get that going. Do you ever have to talk to the title company really though? Do they ever call a title company and be like, hey, how's my title work coming along? You know what I mean? Like,
you sign a piece of paper, and then maybe you get an email or two from the title company saying, thank you for doing business with us, and we charged you $138 or whatever it is. And then that's it? You never think of title company ever again in your life?
There's probably 8 or 10, communication points with the title company and the client. A seller is going to have the seller affidavit. There's often questions on that.
Yeah, but that's just part of the packets that you're signing, right? Like, you're never going to think of that as the title company doing it. You're just going to think of that as the paperwork, right?
That's true. And we often, as agents, get those questions. Hey, I got this from the title company. What does it mean? And so
right.
They're calling. I mean, I think of a title issue. So here's an interesting one, Evan. You'll appreciate this. This was in the beginning part of my career, so like 300 years ago. There was sold a new construction home, and then 18 months later, my clients called up and they got relocated out of state. So he said, okay, we got to sell our house. Great. So we get their house sold, and it was a newer development towards the end, but a newer development. Thankfully, they purchased the title insurance because the excavator for that development didn't get paid a portion of whatever he was owed. And so he placed a lien on the entire development. Every single home he placed a lien on. So it was a title
What a
issue.
Chad.
What a Chad. Maybe it was a Karen. I don't know. So
the excavator or the developer here?
I don't know. I don't know what they were
for a sticky situation like this.
But that was a big deal. It was a big deal, but it was resolved easily because they had the title insurance. If they hadn't had that title insurance, we wouldn't have been able to sell that house until that lien was cleared up. And it was a big lien for any one individual property, but he blanketed the whole development. So
Yep.
it was a great learning experience. Like, yeah, because clients ask, do I need title insurance? Well, you need a lender's policy for sure. If you have a mortgage on your side, you don't need it, but let me give you an example of what happened to a client. And so, I think it's a few $100s, and it's worth it. Just a peace of mind.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to title work, right, you hope that it's the most boring piece. In the transaction, it's like,
Good point.
You go through it and you're like, yes, nothing was on here. Just going to forward this on to the clients and say, keep for your records. But then when things start popping up, like some mechanical liens or some medical liens, you kind of run into some of those in those entry-level homes. Maybe a seller just kind of forgot about a medical, they had an injury 2-3 years ago and kind of forgot about that bill and those have to get cleared up. And that's kind of when they start working with the title company because one thing that's if you let them kind of manage that payoff, everything can kind of get worked together. You'll run into someone's where they're like, I ran down to the courthouse and I wrote the check. And it's like, oh my goodness, that check's going to process maybe in 45 days, because you just put it in the hands of the county. So, you hope for the most boring thing to be title. Usually is.
I think the most interesting thing about title work, and we rarely see this any longer, is seeing an original abstract, and that's pretty cool because I've seen some that go back to the like mid 1800s, late 1800s.
Oh, cool.
The full line of all the owners back to when the first owner was, right? And that's pretty cool, because you get to see people's names on there and where it originally came from. And, but you don't see abstracts anymore. I mean, it's been a number of years since I've seen one, but they're pretty cool.
This also might vary from state to state, I'll say. Like out east, where real estate history goes back a lot further, that means that there's probably more chance for things to disentangle and so on.
Yeah.
Some rural areas where you're dealing with like, oh yeah, when we bought this area, we forgot that we didn't buy the mineral rights, and now there's easements that we have to deal with for this development and things like that. But yeah, I would still firmly put title company in the camp of most of the time you don't even remember that they exist.
Yep, agree.
True story.
But very, very important part of the deal.
That means that they're doing their job right.
Right?
It's the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain for sure. Because if everything goes smoothly and there's nothing right, there's nothing that you got to address. You like Evan said, you probably don't remember who you closed with. What title company did we close with? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're not calling and saying, "Hey, great news! There's nothing that showed up on your title work. See you at closing." You know what I mean? It's just like no news is good news on the title side of things. On the real estate agent side of things,
congratulations, it's an easement.
Yeah. Right. Oh, it's like encroachment, easement, which one is it? Real estate side of things, you guys, hey, great. Our offer got accepted, guys. Okay, here's your next steps. You have this and that. Whether it's good news or bad news, you're talking to your real estate agent all the time. Kind of same thing on the loan officer side of things. Insurance is kind of a one and done. Hey, I need insurance on this house. Okay, give me some information. Okay, here's what it's going to cost you. And you're kind of like, okay, it sounds good to me. And you're good. Title company, they just get dogged the whole time. They're just like,
No appreciation. Dang it.
It isn't. They
No appreciation. Y'all.
Give your title
The
closer a hug.
unsung
today.
heroes. The unsung
Yep,
heroes.
they're
of real
taking
estate.
checks and exchanging ownership,
Yeah.
doing all the work,
You know,
recording
everybody-
deeds.
Yeah, they take care of all the money. They make sure all the numbers are correct. Like they do a lot of the heavy lifting, and they're just the unsung hero of it. So hug your title closers today.
You know
Everyone.
what? We should
And they
create a
give
new
cookies
national
out.
holiday.
They always have cookies and
Yeah.
candy and
Soda.
title day.
We should have that. We should have a. We
National
should
Title
petition
Day?
to have a. Yep. Give your title closer a hug day. Give him a hug.
Jen could make that T-shirt. Hug your closer.
There. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hang a banner. I'm gonna hang a banner in my conference room that says that. Hug your title closer today.
I'm sure
Kiss your
Trademark
closer?
Title really appreciate that.
Kiss your closer.
Kiss your closer.
I'm gonna send Marcus a T-shirt that says that. Kiss your closer. I love it. All right, folks. Well, that's our show today. Thanks for everyone who submitted questions to us. Over the last couple of weeks. These are the ones that we couldn't hit live on air, so we wanted to cover those today. We'll be back next Wednesday, noon Central Time, live with another show. Until then, we appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you then.